I want to talk to you today about something that for many of us might feel like a bit of a paradox, something that often gets misunderstood. It's about discipline. We hear the word and we often think of control, rules, restrictions. But what if I told you that discipline isn't about rigidity? What if I told you that discipline at its core is a practice of freedom? It's about the power we reclaim when we choose to show up for ourselves in the toughest moments. And it's about the strength we build when we commit to what truly matters, even when it's hard. Discipline is not about perfection. It's not about having every detail of our lives in order or always making the right choice. Discipline is about being consistent with our values, even when the world around us is pushing us to do something different. It's about honoring our commitments to ourselves, not because it's easy, but because we know it will create the space for the life we want to build. That discipline is often misunderstood as the pursuit of perfection, as though it's about controlling every aspect of our lives to ensure that everything is flawless. We live in a society that celebrates perfection, where images of idealized lives and behaviors are constantly put on display through social media, advertising, and cultural expectations. The pressure to meet these standards can be overwhelming, and it often leads to burnout, self-doubt, and feelings of inadequacy. But the truth is, discipline is not about achieving perfection, rather. It's about showing up for yourself, making intentional choices, and learning how to navigate the ups and downs of life in a way that aligns with your values. When we think about discipline, it's easy to focus on the areas where we feel we've fallen short or where we failed to meet an ideal. Maybe we didn't stick to our workout plan, or we didn't complete a project on time, or we made a mistake in a crucial moment. In these instances, it's tempting to believe that discipline failed us, that we somehow aren't capable of maintaining the consistency or control we need. But the reality is that true discipline isn't about avoiding mistakes or being flawless in every action. It's about how we respond when things don't go according to plan. Rather than being a demand for perfection, discipline is a practice of resilience and commitment. It's the ability to keep moving forward, even when we don't feel like it or when the path becomes difficult. It's about showing up in the face of uncertainty, knowing that the effort, even when imperfect, will eventually add up to something meaningful. Perfectionism tells us that we are only valuable or worthy if we achieve a certain level of excellence. But discipline teaches us that our worth is inherent in our consistent efforts, in our willingness to keep trying, even when the results don't meet our expectations. Discipline also involves accepting our flaws and imperfections. It's not about pushing ourselves to achieve a level of unattainable perfection, but about developing the ability to take care of ourselves, to honor our needs, and to stay committed to our values despite our mistakes. Discipline helps us recognize that we are human, that we will stumble, and that growth is a messy, nonlinear process. The important thing is not to give up when we face setbacks, but to get back on track with the understanding that each step, no matter how small, is progress. One of the most empowering aspects of discipline is that it allows us to embrace vulnerability. Vulnerability is often seen as a weakness, but in reality, it's a powerful form of strength. It's the courage to show up even when we don't know exactly how things will turn out. It's the willingness to be imperfect, to try things without the guarantee of success, and to be okay with that. Discipline involves acknowledging that we are not always going to be in control and that we don't always have to get everything right. It's about trusting ourselves enough to keep moving forward, even in the face of uncertainty. Instead of seeing discipline as an unyielding demand for perfection, we can view it as a practice of self-compassion. It's about being patient with ourselves and understanding that we don't have to be perfect to be worthy of success. We don't have to achieve everything all at once or in the way we imagined. What matters is the effort we put in and the commitment we maintain to continue trying, learning, and growing, even when the road is difficult. Discipline is also a way of creating space for what matters. It's easy to get distracted by external pressures, to compare ourselves to others, or to chase goals that are not aligned with our true desires. But discipline helps us focus on what is truly important to us, to stay committed to our long-term vision, and to make choices that support that vision. It's not about doing everything perfectly or pleasing everyone around us. It's about staying aligned with our values and consistently making choices that reflect who we want to be. When we practice discipline in this way, it becomes a source of freedom rather than restriction. It's not about being rigid or controlling every aspect of our lives. It's about creating the structure and habits that allow us to live more fully and authentically. We no longer have to chase perfection because we recognize that it is not the destination we are after, but the journey. The journey is where the growth happens, and it's in the effort, the persistence, and the willingness to keep going that we find our true power. In the end, discipline is not about being flawless. It's about staying committed to the process, showing up for ourselves when things get tough, and understanding that progress is more important than perfection. It's the quiet, consistent effort that leads to transformation. And it's the belief in ourselves that we can rise again, no matter how many times we fall. When we embrace discipline as a tool for growth and resilience rather than a demand for perfection, we give ourselves the freedom to fully engage in our own journey and to become the people we are meant to be. Discipline is often viewed through a lens of restriction, a rigid set of rules designed to control and limit our behavior. This perspective creates an image of discipline as something that confines us, demanding we adhere to strict guidelines in all aspects of life. But in reality, discipline is not about limiting our freedom. It's about creating the structure and habits that allow us to experience greater freedom in our lives. True discipline frees us from distractions, procrastination, and unhealthy patterns, enabling us to live with greater intention and purpose. When we think of discipline, we often think about limitations following a diet, working out, sticking to a schedule, or saying no to temptations. These actions may seem restrictive on the surface, but they are actually powerful tools for liberation. By practicing discipline, we eliminate the need for constant decision making in moments of fatigue or temptation. When we build healthy habits, we free ourselves from the mental and emotional exhaustion of indecision. In essence, discipline creates a framework that allows us to live with more ease and clarity. Consider the way discipline applies to managing our time. Without discipline, time slips away from us in small increments, checking social media, overcommitting ourselves, or procrastinating. This lack of structure ultimately limits our freedom. We find ourselves scrambling to meet deadlines, stressed by last-minute tasks, and feeling overwhelmed by an ever-growing to-do list. But when we practice discipline, when we set boundaries around how we spend our time, we create the space to engage in the activities that truly matter to us. Discipline, in this sense, isn't limiting us, it's freeing us to focus on what we value most, whether that's personal growth, relationships, or pursuing a passion. Discipline also frees us from the constraints of fear and insecurity. Many people resist discipline because they fear failure or the discomfort of putting in consistent effort. We may think that choosing the discipline path means sacrificing spontaneity or fun. But true discipline doesn't suppress joy or creativity, it cultivates it. When we commit to a practice or goal, we build confidence in our abilities. The structure discipline provides allows us to face challenges with greater resilience because we know that the effort we put in will pay off in the long run. Discipline gives us the emotional freedom to take risks and step outside of our comfort zones because we trust that we have the tools to handle whatever comes our way. Furthermore, discipline frees us from the tyranny of comparison and external expectations. In a world full of constant comparisons and judgments, we often feel pressure to measure up to others or to fit into predefined molds. We may compare our achievements to someone else's and feel inadequate because our journey looks different. Discipline, however, invites us to focus on our own path, on our own values, and on the progress we're making. When we practice discipline, we learn to quiet the noise of external validation and tune into our inner voice. We develop the clarity to define success on our own terms, unburdened by the weight of comparison. In terms of our relationships, discipline also creates the freedom to connect more deeply with others. It might sound counterintuitive, but discipline in relationships is essential for fostering trust and intimacy. Setting boundaries, being present, and honoring our commitments are all acts of discipline that create a foundation of trust. When we are disciplined about showing up for the people we care about, whether it's through small, consistent acts of kindness or simply being available when needed, we cultivate deeper, more meaningful connections. In this way, discipline doesn't limit the love we give, it enhances it by ensuring that we are there when we are needed most. Discipline also offers freedom in the realm of health and well-being. It's easy to get caught up in the pursuit of instant gratification, seeking out quick fixes for our physical or emotional needs. But this often leaves us feeling empty or dissatisfied in the long run. Discipline, on the other hand, is a practice of delayed gratification. It encourages us to make choices that may not feel rewarding in the moment, but will lead to long-term health, energy, and vitality. Whether it's sticking to a balanced diet, maintaining an exercise routine, or taking time for rest, discipline in these areas frees us from the constant cycle of poor choices and negative consequences. It empowers us to take control of our health and well being, which in turn gives us the energy and vitality to pursue our passions and dreams. In the world of work, discipline can be the key to achieving success without feeling overwhelmed or trapped. Many of us dream of career success or personal accomplishments, but without the disciplined effort to back up those dreams, they remain just that, dreams. Discipline enables us to take the necessary steps toward achieving those dreams, whether it's setting aside time each day to work on a project, learning new skills, or simply staying focused in the face of distraction. It's not about pushing ourselves to the brink of burnout or constantly hustling. It's about creating a balanced and sustainable approach to our work. In this way, discipline gives us the freedom to pursue meaningful goals without sacrificing our mental and emotional well being. Discipline is ultimately about choosing the kind of life we want to live. It is not a restriction on our freedom, but rather the foundation that allows us to experience the freedom to choose, the freedom to grow, and the freedom to live authentically. It's about making decisions that align with our values, building habits that support our well being, and creating the space to focus on what truly matters. Far from limiting us, discipline empowers us to live the kind of life that brings us joy, purpose, and fulfillment. It's through disciplined choices that we find the freedom to be our truest selves. Power often feels like something grand and sweeping, an elusive force that only a few seem to wield. We often look for it in moments of crisis, in the big breakthroughs, or in the moments when we achieve something extraordinary. But the true source of power doesn't lie in these rare moments of brilliance. The real power is in the small, consistent choices we make every single day. These choices, often invisible and unnoticed, shape the trajectory of our lives, our relationships, and our growth in ways that add up to far more than any single event. Each day, we are confronted with a series of decisions, many of them small and seemingly insignificant. Whether it's choosing to get out of bed on time, deciding to exercise instead of staying on the couch, or picking up a book rather than scrolling through social media, each choice matters. It's easy to dismiss these small decisions as inconsequential, thinking that they don't have any real impact on the big picture. But when viewed over time, these choices form the foundation of who we are and who we are becoming. The real power of these consistent choices lies in their ability to compound. Every positive decision we make builds on the one before it. When we choose to take care of our health by eating well or exercising, we're not just improving our physical state for one day, we're creating a pattern that supports our energy, mental clarity, and emotional well-being over time. Similarly, when we commit to learning something new, even in small increments, we are consistently growing, expanding our knowledge, and preparing ourselves for opportunities that may not even exist yet. Each of these small decisions strengthens our resolve, builds our character, and amplifies our potential. The power in consistent choices also lies in their ability to create habits. Habits are the hidden forces that shape our lives, operating largely outside of our conscious awareness. We don't think about brushing our teeth, making our bed, or taking a walk. These actions have become automatic through repetition. The same principle applies to the way we choose to approach our work, relationships, and personal growth. Over time, the habits we cultivate through consistent choices create a rhythm and structure to our lives, making it easier to live in alignment with our values and goals. Instead of constantly battling distractions or motivation, our habits carry us forward, often without us even noticing. One of the most powerful aspects of consistent choices is their ability to build momentum. When we start making positive choices, it can feel like a slow and gradual process, but the more we stick with them, the more we gain momentum. Momentum is the force that propels us to continue even when challenges arise or when we don't feel like it, just like a snowball gathering speed as it rolls down a hill. The momentum created by consistent action can lead to exponential growth. The more we invest in making the right choices, the easier it becomes to keep making them, creating a positive cycle of progress. Another aspect of the power found in consistent choices is their cumulative effect on our self-esteem and self-trust. Every time we make a decision that aligns with our values and goals, we reinforce our belief in our ability to make good choices. Over time, these small victories build our confidence and we start to trust ourselves more. This trust becomes a powerful tool in our lives because it strengthens our ability to take on bigger challenges, face fears, and make decisions that reflect our true desires. When we consistently choose actions that honor our values, we become more certain of our path, more resilient in the face of adversity, and more aligned with who we are. Consistency in our choices also builds character. Character isn't formed in a moment of heroism, it's shaped by the small, everyday decisions that reflect our core beliefs. It's choosing honesty when it's easier to lie, choosing kindness when it's easier to be indifferent, and choosing patience when it's easier to react impulsively. The power in these choices lies in their ability to shape our inner world, to cultivate virtues like integrity, compassion, and perseverance. As we continue to make these choices, we build a reputation for being someone who follows through, someone who is trustworthy, and someone who can be relied upon. This consistent behavior creates a magnetic energy that attracts others who share similar values and who appreciate the consistency of our character. Over time, the consistent choices we make also serve as a reflection of our priorities. The way we choose to spend our time, energy, and resources reveals what matters most to us. If we consistently choose to invest in our relationships, our health, and our personal growth, it sends a clear message about our values. These choices reflect our commitment to living a life of purpose, to focusing on what is truly important, and to making decisions that align with our deepest aspirations. The power of these choices is that they are a direct expression of who we are and what we stand for. The true power of consistent choices is that they are within our control. While we can't always control the external circumstances of our lives, we always have the ability to choose how we respond. In moments of stress, uncertainty, or adversity, we can choose to take a deep breath, to act with integrity, and to make decisions that align with our values. These small choices, how we respond, how we move forward, become the defining factors that determine the course of our lives. In essence, power is not a result of grand gestures or extraordinary moments. It lies in the everyday decisions we make, the consistent actions we take that align with who we want to become. When we focus on making small, positive choices, we begin to build the foundation of a life that reflects our values, strengthens our character, and empowers us to move toward our true potential. Discipline is often seen as a tool for maintaining control and structure, a way to get things done or adhere to routines. But discipline's true power lies in its ability to catalyze personal transformation. It's not just about enforcing rules or sticking to a schedule. It's about shaping who we are at the core, molding our mindset, and guiding us toward becoming the best versions of ourselves. Discipline is a process of consistent action that stretches us, challenges us, and encourages growth in ways that we may not immediately recognize, but that leave lasting, profound impacts. And at its essence, discipline is the practice of making intentional choices, of showing up even when it's hard, and of staying committed to long-term goals. These small, everyday acts of discipline add up over time, influencing not just the way we live, but the person we become. It's easy to think that transformation comes from monumental shifts or sudden breakthroughs, but real, lasting change is often a result of consistent effort, patience, and dedication. The power of discipline lies in its ability to shift our behaviors and, over time, reshape our character. When we start practicing discipline in our lives, whether it's in our health, our work, or our personal development, we begin to notice subtle changes. In the beginning, the process can feel slow, and the results might not be immediately visible. But over time, as we continue to show up for ourselves, as we consistently make choices that align with our values and goals, we start to see the transformation unfold. This gradual shift doesn't just affect our actions, it alters how we think about ourselves and the world around us. For example, consider someone who decides to commit to a fitness routine. At first, it might be difficult waking up early to exercise, or finding the motivation to stick with the plan might feel like an uphill battle. But as discipline takes hold, the habit becomes ingrained. This is where transformation begins. It's not just about getting fit. It's about shifting from a mindset of I can't do this to I am someone who shows up for myself. The discipline of committing to a fitness routine doesn't just change physical appearance, it changes the way we see ourselves, reinforcing the belief that we are capable of taking control and making positive changes in our lives. Discipline doesn't only transform us through its immediate effects, it's also a tool for overcoming resistance and pushing through discomfort. Personal transformation often requires confronting things we'd rather avoid: old habits, limiting beliefs, or fears. Discipline teaches us how to lean into discomfort, how to push past the resistance that arises when we try to make meaningful changes. Whether it's the inner voice telling us we're not good enough, or the physical discomfort that comes with a challenging workout or a difficult project, discipline teaches us how to stay in the game, even when it's hard. Through discipline, we learn resilience, the ability to keep going despite setbacks and challenges. Transformation doesn't happen in a straight line. It's often a messy, nonlinear process filled with bumps along the way. But discipline teaches us to persevere, to keep moving forward, even when things aren't going according to plan. It allows us to get back up after failure and keep working toward our goals. This is where true transformation occurs, in the moments when we feel like quitting but choose to keep going, when we feel the weight of our discomfort and decide to push through it anyway. Every act of discipline becomes a vote for the person we want to become, a building block of strength, resilience, and personal growth. As we continue to practice discipline, it begins to shape our identity. We no longer see ourselves as people who just try or wish for change. We start to see ourselves as disciplined individuals who can create the life they desire through consistent action. This shift in self-perception is one of the most powerful aspects of personal transformation. We stop viewing ourselves as passive recipients of circumstances and start seeing ourselves as active creators of our reality. This transformation is not just about external outcomes, but about internal growth, about becoming someone who believes in their own ability to create change and who trusts themselves to follow through on their commitments. Discipline also leads to greater self-awareness. When we commit to a course of action, we are forced to confront our habits, our patterns, and our values. In the process of practicing discipline, we gain insight into what truly matters to us, what motivates us, and where we need to grow. It brings to light areas of our lives that we might have overlooked or ignored. For example, committing to a regular practice of mindfulness or meditation might reveal areas where we are holding onto stress or negative emotions. And similarly, working on personal projects might uncover limiting beliefs or fears we hadn't noticed before. Discipline helps us reflect, adjust, and refine our approach, leading to deeper personal growth and awareness. Through consistent discipline, we also build a stronger relationship with ourselves. We learn to trust ourselves more deeply because we see that we are capable of following through. This trust is transformative in itself. It allows us to make bolder decisions, to take risks, and to step outside of our comfort zones. When we know that we can depend on ourselves, that we can rely on our discipline to guide us through challenges, we feel more empowered to take on the world. The true transformation that discipline offers is often quiet and incremental. It happens slowly, sometimes without fanfare, but the results are profound. By practicing discipline, we are not just changing our habits, we are transforming the way we think, the way we feel, and the way we live. It's the key to becoming the person we've always known we could be, a person who is resilient, capable, and deeply aligned with their values and goals. Through consistent action and the commitment to keep showing up, discipline guides us toward the kind of transformation that doesn't just improve our lives, it reshapes them entirely. Discipline is often thought of as a temporary solution, something we apply to achieve a specific goal or to reach a particular milestone. Many people view discipline as something to be practiced for a short period, such as sticking to a diet for a few weeks or following a workout routine until they see results. However, the true power of discipline lies in recognizing that it is not a short-term fix, but rather a lifelong commitment. It is a continuous practice that shapes our daily lives, influences our habits, and guides us through every stage of our personal journey. At the heart of discipline is the idea of consistency. It's easy to start something with enthusiasm, to commit to a new routine or set ambitious goals when the excitement is high. But discipline is about the long haul. And it's what we do after the initial excitement fades that truly defines us. The discipline to keep going even when we don't feel motivated, even when we face obstacles, is what makes the difference between those who achieve lasting change and those who fall short. Discipline is about creating habits that stick, habits that become so ingrained in our daily lives that they require little thought or effort to maintain. These habits are not fleeting, but become part of who we are, driving us toward the fulfillment of our long-term goals. The idea that discipline is a lifelong commitment challenges the often held belief that we can simply fix ourselves or solve problems quickly. It asks us to shift our mindset from seeking immediate results to focusing on sustained effort and growth. Personal development is not a quick fix, it is an ongoing process of growth and evolution. The pursuit of discipline is not about reaching a final destination, but about embracing the journey, knowing that each step, no matter how small, leads us toward becoming the person we aspire to be. Discipline becomes a way of life, a continuous effort to improve, to learn, and to adapt to new challenges. A lifelong commitment to discipline also means embracing the inevitable setbacks and challenges that come our way. There will be times when we falter, when we make mistakes, or when life gets in the way of our best intentions. It's easy to view these setbacks as failures and to give up on our goals entirely. But true discipline is about resilience. It's about getting back on track after we've stumbled, learning from our mistakes, and continuing forward. Discipline teaches us to persevere, to stay committed even when the path isn't easy. This perseverance becomes a key factor in our growth and transformation. Instead of viewing setbacks as reasons to quit, we begin to see them as opportunities to grow stronger, to develop more resilience, and to refine our approach. Moreover, discipline as a lifelong commitment requires us to align our actions with our core values. It's not enough to simply be disciplined. We must be disciplined in the right areas. We need to ensure that the efforts we put into our lives are directed toward what truly matters to us. When discipline is aligned with our values, it becomes a source of motivation rather than a burden. It fuels our actions because we are working towards something meaningful. Discipline in this context is a tool for building the life we want to live, one that reflects who we are and what we stand for. As we move through different stages of life, the nature of our discipline may evolve, but the commitment remains the same. In our younger years, discipline might look like academic achievement, physical fitness, or learning new skills. As we mature, discipline may shift to focus more on maintaining our health, nurturing relationships, or managing our finances. In every stage, discipline remains an essential force, but the areas it influences may change. However, the commitment to being disciplined, whether it's in how we manage our time, energy, or emotions, does not. As we grow, we learn to apply discipline in increasingly nuanced ways, adjusting it to suit the demands of our changing lives. A lifelong commitment to discipline also requires self-awareness. We must continually assess and adjust our habits to ensure they are still serving us in the best way possible. There will be times when we realize that certain practices no longer align with our goals, and we need to pivot or make new commitments. This ongoing reflection is part of what makes discipline such a powerful tool for personal growth. It encourages us to stay mindful of our progress, to regularly check in with ourselves, and to make course corrections as needed. Discipline also allows us to build a deep sense of self-trust. When we consistently show up for ourselves, when we make and follow through on our commitments, we prove to ourselves that we are capable of achieving our goals. This self-trust is vital for long-term success because it creates a foundation of confidence that we can rely on, even in difficult times. Knowing that we have the discipline to handle challenges gives us the courage to take risks and to pursue our dreams, no matter how daunting they may seem. The trust we develop in ourselves through discipline is an empowering force that propels us forward. Finally, a lifelong commitment to discipline cultivates a sense of purpose. By dedicating ourselves to consistent effort, we are constantly moving closer to our goals and dreams. Discipline provides us with the clarity to focus on what truly matters and the structure to make progress in those areas. It creates a sense of direction, allowing us to live with intention rather than simply reacting to life's challenges. The power of discipline is in its ability to provide this sense of purpose, helping us build lives that are meaningful and aligned with our deepest values. In embracing discipline as a lifelong commitment, we don't just transform our habits, we transform ourselves. We develop resilience, self-trust, and clarity. We become people who are capable of achieving what we set out to accomplish, not because we are perfect, but because we are committed. Discipline is not a temporary endeavor, but a lifelong journey, one that shapes us into the best version of ourselves over time. Discipline is often misunderstood as a restrictive force, something that forces us to follow rigid rules or stifle our natural impulses. However, when viewed through a deeper lens, discipline is one of the most powerful tools for living with purpose. It provides the structure and focus needed to turn our aspirations and goals into tangible outcomes. Discipline is the bridge between where we are and where we want to be. It empowers us to align our daily actions with our deeper intentions, helping us live a life of meaning and direction. At its core, discipline is the ability to make consistent, intentional choices in line with our values and goals. It's not about perfection or denying ourselves pleasure, rather. It's about making decisions that bring us closer to the life we envision for ourselves. Without discipline, we can easily become distracted or caught up in the immediate, fleeting desires of the moment, which can lead us further away from our true purpose. When we practice discipline, we become the authors of our own story, choosing the path that aligns with our long term vision rather than getting swept up by the whims of the present. Discipline provides us with a clear framework within which we can operate. It helps us break down our bigger long term goals into smaller, manageable tasks. Without this structure, it can be easy to feel overwhelmed by the enormity of our aspirations. But with discipline, we are able to organize our efforts, prioritize what's most important, and focus on the next step rather than getting bogged down by the whole journey. This sense of clarity gives us a direction, allowing us to channel our energy and time toward what truly matters. When we have this kind of focus, we can make steady, meaningful progress, which ultimately leads to a sense of fulfillment and accomplishment. Living with purpose means having a sense of direction, knowing what we want to achieve, and understanding why it matters. But knowing our purpose is only part of the equation. The real challenge comes in consistently taking action toward that purpose. This is where discipline steps in. It's easy to have grand visions for our lives, but without the discipline to follow through on those visions, they remain just that ideas, wishes, and dreams. Discipline is the force that turns intention into action, ensuring that we stay on course and continue to work toward our purpose, even when distractions arise or obstacles appear. One of the most significant ways discipline empowers us to live with purpose is by teaching us to say no to things that do not align with our goals. In a world full of distractions and opportunities to go off course, it is easy to be pulled in multiple directions. We may feel pressure to please others or to chase after short-term pleasures that provide instant gratification, but discipline helps us stay grounded in our values. It encourages us to make decisions based on what truly serves us and supports our long-term vision. By practicing discipline, we develop the ability to make choices that prioritize our growth and our purpose over temporary or superficial desires. Furthermore, discipline builds resilience and perseverance, which are crucial components of living with purpose. There will be times when the path we've chosen becomes difficult, when our motivation wanes, or when setbacks arise. It's during these moments that discipline proves its worth. Rather than giving in to discouragement or quitting altogether, discipline helps us push through the challenges, reminding us that persistence is key to achieving anything meaningful. It teaches us to keep going, even when progress feels slow, and to stay committed to our purpose, even when the road is tough. This resilience, fostered through disciplined actions, enables us to weather the storms that inevitably come our way and continue moving forward. Living with purpose also requires us to be intentional with our time. Time is one of our most valuable resources, and how we choose to spend it directly impacts the quality of our lives. Discipline empowers us to make conscious decisions about how we allocate our time. It encourages us to focus on activities that nourish our mind, body, and spirit, and to let go of those things that drain our energy or take us off track. Discipline helps us create routines and habits that support our purpose, ensuring that we invest our time in ways that move us closer to our goals. This sense of intentionality makes us feel more in control of our lives, and it enables us to live with clarity and purpose every day. In addition, discipline enhances our self-awareness, a crucial aspect of living a purposeful life. As we practice discipline, we begin to understand more about ourselves, our strengths, our weaknesses, our desires, and our fears. We become more attuned to our values and what truly matters to us. This self-awareness guides us in making decisions that align with our true purpose rather than being swayed by external pressures or societal expectations. Discipline doesn't just change our external behavior, it transforms our internal landscape, helping us grow into people who are aligned with their authentic selves and live in accordance with their deepest values. Moreover, discipline encourages us to take ownership of our actions and their consequences. It teaches us to be accountable for our choices, to recognize the impact of our behaviors, and to take responsibility for our progress. This sense of ownership is vital for living with purpose because it places the power to shape our lives firmly in our hands. Rather than blaming external circumstances or other people for our lack of progress, discipline empowers us to take charge of our own journey, knowing that we have the ability to make meaningful changes and achieve our goals.